I'm CK. Today we've got another eBay mystery special. I forget what this is, and of course the bag doesn't have an appropriate label. It does have a build guide QR code. Hopefully it'll resolve. The last one I did didn't resolve, which is always a pain. But it looks like it's got a photoresistor and a microphone maybe, and some other stuff in here that might be interesting. So we'll put it together, see how much fun it is, see if we learn anything, and I hope you enjoy the video. First thing we're going to do is see if this QR code resolves to something that we can do something with. And it's looking that way. Yep. Oh, it's a photosensitive mobile robot DIY kit. It's photosensitive mobile robot simulator Firefly Electronics DIY kit. It can simulate the automatic flashing of fireflies, and according to the photosensor, it can automatically move towards light at night. Okay, that sounds kind of fun. And it is not a pull open, it is a cut open, which I usually end up doing anyway, because I'm such a... Oops! I'm dropping stuff. Gotta pick up what I just dropped. Yeah. See what we got. Got a bunch of stuff. We've got the little... I've done one similar that just kind of jitterbugged with no guidance. And here's the body that it'll be using. And we've got a chip here, and it is a... I can't read it, but this says it is an LM358P. Let's see what that is. I think that's a op amp. Yeah, 700 kilohertz dual op amp. Okay, go away now. Go away now. Let's go back to the... Here's the circuit board. Oh gosh. Guys, they make these, of course, in multiples on a master die. I've got to adjust the camera. Hold on, people. It'll shake. Move a little bit. I don't know what's going on there. Oh well. And then they break them off, you know, you get 12 on a sheet or whatever, but they left all the sprue material all over it. It's all nasty. Can't find my little piece of... There it is. Little piece of sandpaper to sand these down. You don't have to do this. I like to do it because I don't like rough edges on things that aren't supposed to have rough edges. There we go, good enough. Probably toxic fiberglass dust in the air now. Don't care. Let's see what the board looks like though. So it's got all the values on it. It's got two photoresistors. It's got a capacitor, 100 microfarad, a couple of 10K resistors, 100 ohm resistor, 1K5. Got two transistors, 8550, both of them, and M and M. I think that's a little motor. It's got little pulsing motors to actually make it move. It looks like 3 volts in, and that will come from this. So this is, it looks like it's a stack of two 3032 batteries. Got a little adhesive patch, another adhesive patch One is probably to glue the... No, that doesn't make any sense. One's certainly to glue it onto the base. And we've got some wire. Here's some shrink. I think the shrink is to protect the photoreceptors and be able to aim them in light ways. And here is a little motivator. It's a little motor. It's got a sticky on the back. And when you put power to this, it vibrates. So what's going to happen, again, I haven't looked ahead, but I've done something similar to this. You put one on each of these back two legs, and if there's a light over here, it'll shake one side to tilt the thing and then get them both in sync when the light's addressed to both of them. This little pin header, I'm not sure what that's going to be for. We've got two of them. Do we just have two or do we have three? Why is my light glaring? There we go, that's better. Got a little switch, a photoresistor, two of them, and an operation indication LED. And that's what we got. There are the transistors and the other resistors. So it looks pretty straightforward. I'm going to go through the rest of the build guide right now. Oh, they have a great schematic. Any kit that comes with a good schematic is all right by me. Here's the installation. Plenty of good pictures, which is fantastic. Now these instructions are very good. So this looks like a fine kit, good learning kit. And let me get the soldering iron heated up, and we'll put this thing together. Let me put something in the frame so you can see something besides my phone. Let's get started, and the first step is to put the two 100 ohm resistors, and they have a good, again, if you're just getting started, they have a good picture showing you what the color bands for a 100 ohm resistor is, which is very nice. That's not it. But no matter what you do, always feel very, very comfortable. This is not the hundreds, by the way. Actually, it is. Always feel very, very comfortable putting it on a meter and testing it yourself, because sometimes they get things wrong. And the other thing it'll do is it'll show you how close to the ideal it is. Almost all resistors have a little bit of slop to them, a little bit of tolerance. And the color band, the final color band on the resistor tells you how much allowable tolerance there is, like from 5 to 20%. And sometimes you find people with real tight tolerances. Sometimes it doesn't matter so much. So the tolerances are not very tight, because there is a price difference. And for you and I, buying a couple of them, or even 100 of them, it's not that big a deal. But when you're buying in the thousands range, a couple of pennies or even a fraction of a penny on the price is a big deal. This board is not through-hole plated, by the way, so we're just getting the solder on the pads. Now we'll do the two 430s, and 4 is green, or yellow, I'm sorry, yellow, so we'll grab these here. That's interesting that they show the color from bottom up. I wouldn't have done it that way, but that's just me. And I tend to put the most significant color band either to the left or up, so I can read it quickly once it's installed. So in this case, the yellow 4 for the 430 is pointed that way. Now we should have 2 of these. Where's the other one? Oh, it's right there. I usually can spot them quicker than that. I'm not going to solder these right yet. I'll get the other ones on. Now 1.5 ohm. Sorry, I'm looking ahead a little bit. Oh, okay, good. I thought they'd left something out. 1K5, which is 1.5. It's just shorthand on the boards, and often in parts lists a K instead of a decimal point. I never have known why. Never thought about it actually until like right now. There's a 3.3K one. And 2 10Ks. Now my house boost water pump just has come on, as you can maybe hear in the background. It's likely that my water heater will come on in response to that, because there's obviously some water being used in the house. So might be some noise in a bit that I'll mute out. Now we'll just solder all these connections. What's next? Probably the socket. Oh no, we're going to put the little install 3 pieces of the pin headers. Users don't have to install them, so I think I'm not going to. I believe these 2 are the motor drivers, and this one is the power. And I think I can just drop the leads from the motor driver in, and I'll solder them that way instead of, because you can put these in like so and then solder. I'll go ahead and do it just because may as well. Not in any rush to do anything else. But it just gives you some solder posts to solder your wires onto that you might find more convenient for your soldering pleasure. Different people solder different ways. Different people also keep track of the... Oh, because this one's... They didn't split this one. Oops. You saw me. I tried to keep it from flying away, but it flew away anyway. Where'd it go? It went over here somewhere. Well, I can't find it, so we're only going to have 2 of the 3. Only the motor controls, the motor connections, not the battery connection. Because I think the battery box, does the battery box go on the leg thing? I think the battery box goes here, so we're going to have to figure that out when we get there. Now we'll put the socket on. There's a notch in the socket, and on the outline on the board you can see where there's a notch, so you can match those up. We'll see if this one stays in without... Yeah, that stays in without having to hold it. Now we're going to put the 2 transistors, and remember we've got 2 different types. We've got the 8550 and the 9014. So we want to make sure we get the right ones in the right locations. And this is an 8050, and the flat spot on the transistor faces the flat spot drawn on the printing on the board. Double checking orientation before I commit to soldering. Now, somebody mentioned to me years ago that the best way to prevent shorting transistor pins when you're soldering is do the middle pin first, then do the outer pins. I don't know if that makes any difference, but I have had no reason not to do it. So if somebody gives me advice that doesn't hurt anything I can conceive of, I may as well follow it. And that's all the transistors. Now we'll put the LED, the long lead. Oh, let's use my little LED buddy and see how this looks. I built this a while ago, and it's to test LEDs and give you information about them and light them up. And you can see the video on the channel. I've just searched for LED buddy, or I may link it, but I probably won't. There we go, nice blue color. It's drawing 2.8 volts at 6 milliamps. I'm feeding it 5 volts. Let me feed it 3 volts instead and see what I can. We'll say at 4 volts, it's drawing 2.8 volts, 6 milliamps, and you need a 220 ohm series resistor for inrush current protection. And the long lead goes in the hole with the plus sign by it. Now we'll put the little switch on. Now that's not on there quite straight, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder the middle pin, lift it up, take a look. Oh, it did actually settle down. Okay. Now we put the little trimmer pot on here. So we can, I'd have to look at the schematic again. I think this is adjusting sensitivity and biases on the photoresistors to balance them out so they're both reacting the same way to similar light. Feeding the op amp. You can see it on the schematic. That's the little pot. And now we're going to be putting the IC in. Actually, I'm not going to put the IC in. I don't need to yet. We're going to be putting the caps and the where does it say put the cap in? Oh, I missed a step. Now we'll put the cap in. And again, long lead goes in the positive marked hole. Short lead goes in the negative or shaded side, reflecting the stripe on the outside of the capacitor can. Now I gotta recycle the cameras, and while the cameras are off briefly, I'm gonna see if I can find that other piece of pin header that flew out of my hands. Well, while the cameras were off, I went over to my spare parts locker and got another angle pin header set. Just for completeness, I'll put it on there. Oops. With the capacitor on, it doesn't protrude far enough for me to actually be able to solder it in place. But it also is, I'm not going to use that. What on earth am I looking for? I'm looking for a little piece of foam. I have one around. Got big pieces, I don't have little pieces. I'll just cut this. Set that there, and that'll keep it in place for me. Yeah, it's the little pieces of foam that come from in kits holding the chips, and I find it very handy to have around. Can support many things. Let's see what we're doing now. We did the cap, we did the switch, we did the trimmer, and now we're going to put the op-amp chip on board. Bending the legs a little bit inward on the side of my workbench, and now we're going to make sure the notch on the chip matches the notch on the circuit board. All the pins are in, all seated well, nothing bent. Now we're going to do the little eyeballs, the little light sensors, and they say to put them about 10 millimeters from the circuit board to the base of the photoresistor. So that's about 10 millimeters. It doesn't have to be exact. And it's not gonna be, because I keep moving it around. I'm gonna grab that foam back. So I think that I can set it up on that pretty well. Set the cap up on that. And that looks about good. Maybe a little long, but measure it again, just 'cause. It came in at about, well, that's about 13 millimeters, 12.5 millimeters. That's fine. I'm not going to fuss with that too much. And I'm going to have a camera or sound pause as I sneeze, which I just did with the sound off, hopefully. Hopefully I muted that for you, so you don't hear me sneezing directly into my little microphone, because that would be loud, number one. Now we're going to take this shrink wrap that they gave us 2 pieces, and we're going to put it around the photoresistor. That's a little too deep. I'm going to trim that in a little bit, because we don't want any scattered light to hit the sensor. Trim these down a little bit. I'm going to make sure it's got a little bit of a hood, but not a ton, probably 2 or 3 millimeters above the sensor itself. I could get my heat gun out and fired up, but it's a little extra work for just these 2 little things, so I just use a lighter. And now we'll bend these forward a little bit, sort of like little eyes. And now we're going to put the two motivators on, and they actually, where's one of them? They actually would like them not attached here. I don't know why they added those, quite frankly, if we're not going to use them. And that is wrong. The picture is not correct, because it's showing the blue wire with on the back, the blue wire on the left with the adhesive side up, and I'm actually getting the red wire. I don't know if these are polarized or not. So what I'm going to do, we're just going to have to twist these when we install them, because I do want to go with the, let me look if they've got a later picture here. They do have a later picture, and yeah, that's the way they want them. Make sure, I'm sorry, I'm trying to make sure of this. So if it goes like that, and we flip it over, go like that. Okay. So we're doing this kind of upside down from what the picture is showing, because I want to, if these are polarized, I don't think they are, but if they are, I want to make sure that the polarization is correct. And I'm just heating this solder ball up and sinking the tip of the wire in there. So again, I don't know why they wanted us to put the little pin headers there if we're not going to use them. But sometimes you just go with what the pictures tell you instead of what the part looks like, and sometimes you go with what the part looks like and ignore the picture. In this case, I'm more worried about the polarity here. Okay. That's all good, and now we're going to do oops, I put that on the wrong one. I put that on the power input. I'm such a silly person. Take that back off. Take that back off. Do it over here. Okay? Now we'll put the power on. Two little pieces of wire, because we're going to have to we're going to have to solder this onto a little battery box thing, because the battery box thing I think mounts on the body. I mean on the plastic body piece. Now we'll get this right. So this side is negative. This side is positive. Negative didn't go on perfectly, so let me dress it up a little bit. There we go. Now we take our little PVC bracket, bend the legs down. Not 90 degrees, let's call that 60 degrees. And it's relatively flat. Paste PVC bracket onto PVC with double-sided tape. And you can see there's two little bulges here, so you know where the eyes go. Put it on the base of this first. Kind of shove it down over the socket pins. Now peel this. Drop things. And put it on just like so. Now we're going to put the little motivators. These are little shakers. So we'll peel the tape off it, or not tape, we'll peel the cover off it, off the adhesive, press it on there. We'll do the same on the other side. All good. Next we will attach the battery box to these two pins, which is a little annoying. This one is positive. The one without the two slots is positive. Let me bend this around a little bit. Just a little. Get some locking tweezers to hold this in place while I solder it. Making sure I got some solder on it. I did. Same thing again, a little bend. Go around to this pin. Locking tweezers to keep the wire from floating away. Snug it a little bit more. There we go. Little dabble do ya. You got to be really old to know what I'm talking about there. Little dabble do ya. Got to be old like me. And now we're going to take the other piece of sticky tape, put it kind of in between these pins, peel it off, and the pins will go just slightly into the holes that are on this thing, just slightly. There we go. Tuck the wires up. And now we got to get a couple of 2032s. And all the batteries I use in my shop are rechargeable. Oops, it's already starting up. Switch is on. Are rechargeable. I don't use. How many does it need? I thought it needed 2. No, you just need 1. Okay. All the batteries I use in the shop are rechargeable. Rechargeable lithium ion, because I don't want to. I mean, I would go through a ton of disposable batteries, and I don't want to do that. Okay, so we are ready to make this thing motivate around. I'm going to turn lights off. The camera still should be able to see everything. I didn't turn many lights off. I just turned a couple off. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to adjust these little eyes. And as we turn the switch on, you can see it moves around. You can hear it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use flashlight on my phone, and it should move towards it. I'm going to turn the overhead light off because I think it's bothering it. You'll still be able to see things. These cameras are so good. You can see where the little LED is. Now, you can kind of see, you can move it a little bit. You can direct it a little bit. Let me get it to come this way. See this? Yep. It's moving towards the light. It's trying to center itself on the light. That's what the op amp is doing, is balancing the input from the two photoresistors. Even though now it's just going sideways. You're not doing your job, buddy. I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to trim off the rest of the shrouding I put on here, because I don't think enough light is hitting the photoreceptors. Okay, let's see if we can get her to drive a little bit more. Let's do some trimming because he's turning around in circles, so I'm going to adjust the variable pot. Well, it's not actually doing what I thought it would. The one in the past, I did a little racing car like this a while ago, a year or two ago, and it tracked much better here. Let me not blare that at the camera, for crying out loud. Gonna trim it a little bit more. Well, it's dancing a lot, but it's not really doing what it's supposed to do. Light coming back on. So that's what this does. It's not, as you can see, it's not great, but at least if you look at study the schematic and look at what the op amps are doing to balance the input from these to drive the transistors, which are driving the little motors, you can get a good idea of what it could do. Again, this is like $3 on eBay, so no big deal there. So that's it, a little motivating bug, and I hope you enjoyed the video.